Okay. So I can kick this off if everybody would like. I have, I think it's probably beneficial here to just take a step back and look at the big picture considerations first for this agreement. And I'll give some of my initial thoughts. I would like to hear some of Ruth's initial thoughts as to what the town is trying to accomplish through these changes. But
Guys, I'm sorry.
that's okay. But I'll start us off here. So the way I see this, it's a balance of power, right, between the authority and the town, between autonomy and oversight. So the town, obviously wants to maintain some level of oversight to protect its interests. The authority wants independence to operate efficiently. So obviously we're trying to strike a balance between those two things within this agreement. Another thing I'm looking at here is accountability. So we need to consider whether the agreement actually provides clear and enforceable accountability for both parties, especially when we're looking at areas like budgeting, operations, record sharing. Sort of lack of accountability here could lead to conflicts or mistrust. Um, Continuity of operations is a big one for me here. The authority's ability to provide this uninterrupted water service and wastewater service is crucial. So I've paid close attention to provisions that could affect that continuity, abrupt termination rights, unclear transition obligations, disputes over operational control, things that could leave both parties, frankly, in a vulnerable position. So I'll just sort of end it there. I have more thoughts, but I would, Ruth, if you're inclined to humor me here, I would like to kind of hear some of the big picture objectives that the town is aiming for, just to give me an idea of what are the town's thoughts at this point. What's the town thinking about?
So those comments that were provided to you were almost 2 years ago at this point. I think
Okay.
Kim probably explained the background
Mhm.
with
She did.
regard to that. So I don't think our board members that are here this evening, they may have read it, but we have not discussed it since the
2000.
resignation of Mr. Kraft and some of the other the de-annexation and the reconveyance with respect to the water rights.
Okay.
So all that has, transpired over the past year, and here we are, 2025, trying to move forward. So
Okay, so maybe a little bit of a clean slate here. All right, we have a question?
Kim, this is the agreement that we voted on
2023.
December of 2023. Okay.
I believe it was in November.
Or was it November?
All right, well, it was November or December, somewhere right in there.
It's dated in November.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that that was the one.
Okay, so that's nice to hear. It's been some time. We can maybe approach this with some fresh eyes. If it's well, I guess Ruth, if it's fine with you, I can sort of go through some of the changes that you've proposed and maybe give my thoughts and some of my proposed changes to some of these sections. Does that sound good to everybody? Does that make sense?
that does make sense. I was hoping or thinking that maybe we would get, kind of a background in terms of what KWWA was also thinking in terms of starting off on a new foot together and beginning to work collaboratively again.
Mhm. Yeah, so it's pretty much that beginning spiel that I gave. What I'm sort of not sort of what I am looking at here is understanding the control that the town wants to maintain. With that in mind, I want to keep some flexibility for the authority to actually operate and not add to the administrative burden or have too many tie-ups, for routine activities that the authority may want to do. And again, a lot of this language gave me some pause as to who is conducting what operations, continuity of these operations, what happens in the event of a default. There's a lot of outstanding things in this agreement that I don't think are necessarily answered. So I would like to address a lot of that today. But overall, my main objective is to ensure that the town is comfortable with the control it has while ensuring that the authority has enough flexibility to actually operate effectively.
Can we take a pause for a second? I have board members that are asking questions and I don't want them bleeding over into each other for the recording.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ronnie Farmer, did he retire or is he?
Ronnie Farmer has retired and both entities have engaged with the same auditor moving into this year.
Thank you. I don't remember,
Oh, okay.
because that's what it says in the agreement, that he's the auditor.
Okay.
So we, need to change that.
He was at the time
Mhm.
that this was, yeah,
Okay. Go ahead, Paul, I'm sorry.
No, perfectly fine. So what form of the agreement does everybody have in front of them? Do you have the track changes from Ruth, or are you looking at a clean version?
They're looking at the version that was put in place in 2023 with no tracked
right.
revisions from either one of you.
Okay. Okay, so with that in mind, Ruth, if you don't mind, I'll go through this agreement. I can mention what your edits were and respond to them. Is that okay with you?
It's fine. Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, and obviously, I want this to be a collaboration between both of us. So, please, I don't want to steal the stage here. Feel free to chime in, and I think this should be a discussion.
Yes, I just want to preface it with, we were in a very different place than we are today. So
Mhm.
our previous comments were more aggressive than I think that we would be asking today.
Okay, understood. Well, that does help.
I didn't distribute what your comments were back in 2023. I figured, like I said, when I spoke to both of you as the respective legal counsels for both entities, I expected you to work through it with the boards together.
Yep.
Referring to your comments, I didn't want to cause any sort of inflamed emotions or anything, with the perception that what I was handing them was present day Ruth. So I figured it would be best for you guys to walk them through from page 1 to the end on what your recommendations were together.
Okay. Okay. So let's start off right at the beginning here. So under the first paragraph, I was looking at a change where at the end of that first paragraph, where it stated that this agreement supersedes any and all agreements regarding the authority and the town. I wasn't necessarily comfortable with adding that sort of language to this agreement. I think we can add some simple language that this agreement is superseding the amended and restating operating agreement for the town of Kiowa and Kiowa Water and Wastewater Authority. That way, it's just only specifically superseding the 2023 agreement. Otherwise, you could interpret it as superseding the establishing agreement as well, which we don't necessarily want to do here. Ruth, what are your thoughts on that?
My only comment is that there's more than one amendment and that we should reference those. That was it. Because we have, or they have, whatever, 2 or 3 amendments.
Okay, and if the 2023 amendment didn't clearly supersede the prior ones, then it is worth saying that. Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't either.
Okay, stop right there. Everybody's confused about where you're at. Go to the operating agreement itself. The last operating agreement put in place. Go to the very first page of it. They are simply looking at the title right now.
Would it help if I shared the screen that shows the track changes? Because without looking at these track changes, it's going to be very difficult to follow us.
That'd be
It's the
perfect.
first line at the top, amended and restated operating.
Yeah,
account.
yeah, I don't have any
But then anything about
amendments.
supersedes.
I don't have any.
Yeah, I don't
amendments
see
to this.
anything in
There's
here
only
about
amendments to the
superseding.
establishing agreement.
That's where I got
but not to this
lost.
one.
We're.
Yeah.
You were only looking at that one. He's proposing a change to the title based off the fact that he wants to make this the primary one and it's not superseding any of the other ones. So he's proposing a change to the title of our new agreement so that it
Oh,
doesn't
he
give the
hasn't, he
impression
isn't, okay.
that we're superseding anything that came prior.
But yeah, if we could share your screen, that'd be
That
great.
would probably be a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah. Just bear with me 1 second here.
Looks like
All right, I just sent a request to share. Looks like somebody has to approve that. Okay, I think we're good. All right. Can everybody, oh, let me make sure I know. All right, can everybody see this clearly?
Not clearly.
No.
I can see it. You can't read it.
Let me see
Yeah,
if I
back a little
can-
bit.
Kim, I hate to delay this even more, but is there, I mean, would we be able to print out this agreement so that the board can see it while we're going through this? It's gonna be difficult otherwise, if they can't see it.
Is this his? That's his.
Okay,
And then I'll send you Ruth.
And I apologize if there's any confusion here. I thought this would be a collaborative session where me and Ruth sort of go through our thoughts and our potential changes, and we would have board input, and it's how this would go. So sorry if anybody had different expectations, but that's what I was preparing for today. Okay,
No, I
so
don't have to be able to read it.
yeah, is there a way to print it out, Kim?
Sasha's doing that now.
Okay, okay. Do we all just want to take a few minutes and let these print and give it some time?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kim, did we ever find the original agreement that was dated 2014? It's at the bottom of page 1. It refers to the operating agreement dated June 27th, 2014. We don't have that.
We never found the original establishing agreement either, did we?
They're not on file anywhere. They're not in this office anywhere. I need to boot up my computer so I can print out Ruth's.
You might, huh?
Yes,
It's not that long.
There are enough people.
I know, I can't find the documents.
Yeah, because.
See what it is.
I'm trying to get the PD stuff about the ranch, you know? They claim they don't have
Is she
any.
coming?
Well, here's the.
They're already going to the county to ask for an amendment. And the counties, I've been going back and forth with the building department.
Your number.
And the PUD.
Not answered.
It's like,
People there.
the thing hasn't even been approved yet. How do you tell me?
We don't have.
I mean, the PUD was approved, right? They don't know when. But they don't have it. And the developer's already asking for an amendment. How do we need an amendment? No, we don't have it. Well, who does? If the building department doesn't have it, who has it?
There were a lot of documents and stuff that got lost on the town side prior to him ever getting here. I heard all kinds of really good rumors. I don't know how true they are, but when they disbanded the police department, evidently, evidence files and such were stuck out by the dumpster.
Oh, right.
Mhm. Not shredded or anything. So it doesn't surprise me that we don't have stuff.
I helped out this summer, went downstairs and sorted things by year and associations, you know, if it was KWWA or us or the police department.
Mhm.
So I did that this summer and I think I got most of it sorted pretty well
Where was that at? In this-
down in the basement.
Down the basement,
Yeah,
yeah.
because we had that flood
Oh,
and so a lot of stuff got damaged too in that flood. And then we had to have everything repaired.
I have a copy right here, of the operating agreement, June 27th, 2014.
You have a copy of it?
Yeah, I got it from Debbie. Didn't I forward you all that packet Debbie
He
sent me?
forwarded a bunch of stuff to us, and
It's
I
in
went
there.
through it, but I
In there.
didn't know.
It's in there.
Hmm.
I haven't gone through this stuff, I haven't had time to do it, but it's there.
Kim doesn't even have it.
Here's the
That's how they-
establishing agreement.
And we've got one from,
The operating agreement.
What about the
Right.
establishing
I
agreement?
have the establishing agreement
original one
also.
from way
It's
back
here.
in
Yeah,
May?
2013, June 4th of 2013.
I got
Yeah.
that,
yeah,
we
that's
got
what
that,
we've got that.
We've
but
got
that's the
that one,
amended,
yeah.
that's
An
an
amended,
amended
that's
one,
amended.
so that we have never found the very first one, which was May of 13.
May 14th, 2013.
May 14th, supplement to establishing agreement.
Supplement.
Where's the establishing?
Where's the
agreement?
agreement?
I'm still looking. What's here? That's right around resolution.
We probably gotta make sure Kim gets a copy.
Yeah,
Well, what about all the records that got flooded out before that?
it might be.
That wasn't like.
When was that last meeting?
They lost the recording books, everything. Or when they moved. When they moved,
December.
they lost the books that are missing. They're gone to some. That was January, when they bought drying everything out down there, but then when they moved here.
I think with this new group that we all agreed to use, I think they might be able to keep track of
I
our
can't get it built.
records and stuff digitally.
Delivery, yeah.
You just be able to put it
Then
in.
we won't have to worry about that kind of stuff happening again.
Well, once I get through this all, I'm gonna put it all in a timeline and put it all in a file, and
Okay,
then we'll have it all with the
Oh, that'd be great.
documents
Yeah.
attached. So I'll
Yeah.
have them attached with the establishing agreement and all the
Put 'em in.
amendments. Put 'em in
Date order.
yeah.
date order, but I just haven't done it. So, I don't know, I just, you know.
Nobody's bothered about it for a lot of years.
This is Paul's.
Okay.
Kim, that new company we signed up with that's gonna help us do.
Civic Plus.
Yes, are they gonna have the ability to keep track of our documents?
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you.
Keep track of them how.
Thank you.
well, we were just talking about how things have been
First
lost.
amendment to amendment. never
And-
Stated.
They take care of stuff as they're posted to the website.
Dated March
Gotcha.
11th.
They don't archive
That's
our
the one you're talking
documents.
about.
They're only dealing with how they go on our website.
Okay.
Oh, you were switching it out.
Bailey's on her way.
Yeah. You're switching out the name tag, I was making it.
I am wondering if,
Yeah, because the other one.
and this is something we can discuss further at next month's
Establishing
meeting.
agreement.
I'm wondering if we should think about
What are you looking for?
digitizing
The supplement.
No, the original.
old stuff,
Oh.
Archiving it.
We could have
Original
a
establishment.
archive part.
Yeah.
but have it
KWWA.
May
digitally.
14th, 2013.
Rather than
Yeah,
hard
we got
copy.
fine.
in case we have a flood or
Oh, I
we have
see.
somebody.
Well, that's
that
what we
gets
do
mad.
We got
now.
all
Our
the-
new network that we have to go to this year.
Uh-huh.
will be in the
It's gonna
cloud.
do that. What about our old stuff though? Will it do that?
If it's on the computer, it's digitized. So anything we have saved on the computer is digitized.
Okay,
Didn't Sasha go through a whole bunch of stuff last year and digitize a lot of it?
okay.
Anything we could find that was in hard copy
Okay, hon.
is scanned in now, and anything we could find at the clerk and recorder's office, would you put that on?
It's scanned as well.
We pulled it and put it in our system so that
Okay.
we had it too, because that was one of the avenues we took to try to find documents. Cause
Right.
at one point, they were recording everything and then that stopped. But what they did record, we were able to pull, and we pulled into our system so that we have it here at our availability, but we've literally pulled everything that we could pull from there.
Okay.
We've asked, bless you, those that were part of either one of these entities
Mhm.
prior, for documents, and they've provided what they say they have available to them
Okay,
that are now scanned in. And anything we could find throughout our computer systems, and old, administrators, because the IT department kept files on the old clerks and the old administrators. So
Okay.
anything they had saved to the system
okay,
was saved and archived in specific files. So
Good.
that gave us the ability to go back and look through those files too, to locate some of these documents.
Okay.
And we did locate some there,
Okay.
but not a whole bunch.
Okay.
And what we did locate, sometimes they were just drafts. They weren't final documents.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Well, I know moving forward, all that's gonna be handled, but
yeah,
it'd be nice if we could do something with the old stuff.
yeah.
Just so if it floods again, or,
Yeah, I don't.
we don't have hard copies of stuff sitting around getting ruined or getting lost or,
Mhm.
Throw in the dumpster.
right, thrown in the dumpster.
Okay.
I saw the ballots hauled out in trash bags and sat next to the dumpster behind the town building.
Awesome.
Not this year, but the year before. Didn't shred them, then just put them in big plastic bags and set them out on a dumpster behind there.
You
I
just
thought,
have
wow.
to do better. You really have to do better.
Are you kidding me? I mean, they were hauling out on flat parts. Bags, and there must have been probably 10 bags out there.
Wow.
I mean, they were putting them in the dumpster, but still.
Well,
you
yeah,
just-
stuff like that should be
I mean,
threaded.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Or saved, I mean,
Right,
don't you think they need it for at least a couple of years to see if they made a mistake when they didn't count things right?
you would
or-
think so. I know the work that we do with the state. We have to keep the last 3 years on record. We can't get now anything prior to that we can throw away. But I know the state has. The terms how long you're supposed to keep stuff.
Well, it's like your taxes too,
Exactly,
you know, I mean,
yep.
it's just common sense, you know. Hey, we might need to look at those again.
You know, Laurel, that's not a flower grown in many gardens.
Oh, no, it's dying, died on the vine.
Yes, maybe she didn't realize, and I heard you guys talking that new number that Kim contacted us from.
Mhm.
Tommy might not have picked up on it that it was her.
No, it says it's her.
Well, I know, but if I have just a blank number that comes up, it's a good thing she said that because I probably would have deleted it.
Yeah, she did text from there, yeah, but then she started a new string.
Mhm.
And then she said, good evening, all this is Kim.
Mhm.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. If you get a message from an unknown number, you might be like, I'm not opening that.
Right, yeah, I do that a lot. If I don't know the number, I'm not gonna look at it.
See, I can see a preview of it,
Right.
and so I know.
Oh, so see, mine doesn't do that.
That I save.
Yeah, see like this one here, same thing.
Mhm. Yeah.
I'm on my way.
I think I have her something.
Who's that?
Jamie.
You want it?
Yeah, just a second. I'm trying something.
You find it. All right.
What does everybody have in front of them at this point? Do you have the agreement with my changes?
We do.
Yes, we have yours.
Yes.
Okay, and you're just waiting on Ruth's?
Yeah,
Okay.
don't be all on anything. They're,
Well, what's
they're,
up writings?
oh,
Got it.
Is that 720?
Yeah.
You're welcome, sir.
thank you.
So this one's Ruth.
That's
Yep.
good.
All right, so you got a lot of paper in front of you. One of those documents are Ruth's changes. The other one is Ruth's changes with my additional changes and comments to Ruth's changes. So if you want to look at the whole comprehensive thing, you can look at the ones with my changes. If that's getting a little too much, you can go to Ruth's and see what changes she made. So okay, now that we're all on the same page, what I was referring to at the very beginning was Ruth's proposed edit at the very first page underneath the title, and I'm fine with the title change. But that first paragraph, the bottom sentence, this agreement supersedes any and all agreements regarding the authority in the town. All I was talking about at the beginning was clarifying that we don't want this to supersede the establishing agreement or any sort of additions to the establishing agreement. So I wanted to at least clarify that this supersedes the 2023 operating agreement. To Ruth's point, there are other operating agreements that may not have been superseded by the 2023 one. So we can just cover that by, noting that this agreement will supersede any and all operating agreements regarding the authority in the town. Do I hear any sort of objections to that change?
No, makes sense now that we can read what you're doing here.
Yeah, it's a little better this way, isn't it?
Yes,
So you can see Ruth's changes as we go down. I haven't really commented on anything else on the first page. I'm okay with the language that she added. And look, so to make sure that this process goes smoothly, I'll just go through my thoughts. Anybody, please feel free to interrupt me at any time and give me your thoughts. Okay, so going to page 2, I just added a whereas clause to provide some context that we're entering into this agreement to amend the 2023 operating agreement. And for what it's worth, everyone, these whereas clauses have no legal binding effect. They just give you an idea. They just give you some context as to why the agreement's being entered into and the authority upon which entities are entering into this agreement. Okay.
Can I make a comment, please?
Yeah, please do.
Back on page 1, in that second paragraph under recitals where it says, the exhibit A, all the KWWA has acquired the water and wastewater facilities, including but not limited to water rights, real estate, and personal property, et cetera, on exhibit A. On exhibit A, the water right determinations were not listed, or the wells. They should be because they are the biggest assets we have. And that's part of the quote facilities.
We don't have anything under exhibit A. It's blank.
Yeah, it's on the next page.
You're the one you can't read. We're actually creating this spreadsheet.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
But
you'd like to see an accounting of the water rights that the authority has within that exhibit A,
All of the assets.
all the assets.
all of the assets.
Because it says actually in that paragraph, it says, the water and wastewater facilities, including but not limited to water rights, real and personal property, then deeds and all of that need to be attached to that on that exhibit A. That it should be like a spreadsheet of all the assets that are supposed to be in the name of KWWA, but they are the assets for the water and wastewater authority, whether it be a physical facility, it's the water rights. I mean, water rights are physical.
Okay.
Everything needs to be in there.
What page is that now?
Kim, is that something that you'd be able to do?
Yeah, that is
Or it
on the
says
recitals,
exhibit
it's the
A.
second page, second
Oh, I see.
paragraph, it says
Yes,
exhibit
I
A.
see.
And then when you go back to it, it should be all those, the wells, the 2 wells that we have, need to be listed. And the determinations for those 4 aquifers. They cover the
So-
whole, all the rest of the water rights. Minus
So-
the baby.
Just to provide a little bit of context to this paragraph, another way we could address it is just by changing Exhibit A to only reflect the water and wastewater facilities that the authority has. This paragraph doesn't make any sort of difference to this agreement. It's just providing some context to everybody that the authority has these water and wastewater facilities, these water rights, real and personal property. There's no requirement to necessarily post all of it here. The authority has what it has. You don't need to necessarily reflect it in this agreement. This is just an agreement, you know. I mean, if it gives you comfort, we can certainly add it. And Kim, I'd be interested to see how much of a task that would be. But I can tell you that this won't alter the effect of this agreement whatsoever.
No, because this is an operating agreement between the water authority and the town as far as how the town conducts the operations for the water authority. This is not establishing anything as far as assets or otherwise for the water authority. It's just laying out the groundwork as to how we conduct their business. Am I correct in that?
Yes.
You're
Yes.
Wouldn't those assets be more appropriately listed under the establishing agreement amendment?
Yes.
Okay, so they shouldn't be listed as an exhibit A in that paragraph saying that, because you've got.
Just so you all know, White Bear did this agreement,
Right,
so.
Yeah.
so then we should just strike that.
To the extent Exhibit A gives people an idea of the service area, because that's really what it shows to me. It can be
And I think
helpful.
That's another exhibit. It's a
Yeah.
service area,
Yeah,
but
So-
this is just talking about facilities. And what I'm considering is assets.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. I'm conflating two different. Strike that. So, yeah, for these, well, in that regard, then.
I mean, I don't have a problem creating a spreadsheet for this. I mean, all it is pulling the information from the different resources and doing that. I think to attach all these documents is a little overkill to an operating agreement but I'm not an attorney. But I can definitely create a spreadsheet to the effect of what they all are by pulling from what, we have.
I would agree with that, and I think that addresses Laurel's concerns.
Would that be more appropriate? Is that what, if I
Yeah, a
did
spreadsheet.
all of
Oh,
the
well, yeah,
assets?
like we were talking before, the spreadsheet, yeah, definitely needs to be changed from what that list is, because that was based on insurance.
That's just insurance, and I
Yeah,
could take
so,
that and
so
create our own.
that's very limited and very,
So-
because it doesn't show any of the deeds of the property or the water rights, the actual determinations and things like that, or the
Yeah.
wells,
Yeah,
but,
So-
you know.
go ahead, Ruth.
Okay.
So just a couple of things. One is, I don't think we have anything that is monumental that needs to be addressed in the operating agreement. Today. And the changes that we are discussing or that are in these different versions based upon the review that I received from Paul this afternoon, I don't have any objections or concerns on behalf of the town. So I just want to say that because I don't want to get necessarily mired down in renegotiating all the terms. That really was not what I thought our goal was, but
Right.
I'm happy to discuss it. But I would just simply say that, I think the town's goal now is to move forward cooperatively and engage in a more constructive way on what KWWA is doing and what the town is doing and how our decisions may or may not affect each entity.
Okay.
And make sure the bills get paid and we have ways of accomplishing that. So I just want to clarify that because when you get involved, first and foremost, with two lawyers, that always is not necessarily ideal, but secondly, I don't have any concerns with what Paul's comments were.
Okay.
Take your time.
And are you, I appreciate that. Are you talking about my comments for the entire document?
Yeah,
Okay. Well, that definitely helps. That'll speed things along. So, instead of kind of going through each comment, maybe we can just use the comments as a springboard to just talk about these ideas a
Have a
little
thought.
generally.
Excuse me, I've got a thought. How about, since we've got this copy, how about all of us take a few minutes, read through this, see the changes? If we've got any questions, then we can question Paul or Ruth on it. I think that would move us along a little quicker.
I think that sounds great.
Do that?
Yeah, and I think my comment would be on your exhibit A. By listing those facilities on the schedule that it references, we take away the gray area. I think what I've seen in the past is we have too much gray area happening at this water authority. In their establishing agreement and amendments and, operating agreement, all this stuff. I think that if we establish that list, there's no gray area from the town or from the authority. And I think if we eliminate that gray area, I think some of the problems that we've seen in the past will go away. So just my opinion.
I think that makes sense, Donnie. There's certainly no harm in over clarifying.
Bonnie, I was late. I just want to clarify. This is Ruth's and then this is his response. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And Bailey, he put Ruth's comments in here and then these are his comments here.
Okay.
So it might be easier to just read the one.
Yes.
Paul, Ruth, while everybody reads over this, I'm looking at section, billing section.
yep.
There's a proposed change on here. That says the authority shall provide records of all repairs over $5,000 in past due accounts to the town prior to the monthly meetings based on the physical address of the customer. I absolutely disagree with that. We even keep the anonymity of the customers from the water board. I don't see any purpose whatsoever to release a customer's name or address for delinquent accounts. We deal with them by account number. There's everybody that sits in this table, or majority of the people that sit at this table live in this town. They're volunteer board members, and I do not see the merit in releasing a customer's name or physical address just for the purpose that they're delinquent on their bill. I would agree with that.
I would agree with that as well.
When somebody puts in a hardship letter, we redact all of the personal information off that anyway. For the water board, so.
And that is how most districts that I observe do it, is they don't disclose the names, they just keep account numbers.
Right.
We've already been accused of
Bias.
stating someone's name that was shut off. And I said, no, that didn't happen. Well, you know who it is. I said, no, I don't. And then he spouted off who it was. And I said, well, maybe you know that, but I don't. No one else does either. So
It was
I
at
agree
one
with you.
time a practice to make these customers come in here and stand here in a public meeting
That's ridiculous.
and
Yeah, that's not right.
give the personal circumstances under which they need a hardship, and we eliminated that
Yeah, that's not
for
right.
purpose.
They sent me the letter and I redacted.
Kim, what
And
section
just-
was that in that you were just talking about?
It's under the billing 2.5 on your version.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Top sentence in red.
Yep, I see. Okay.
We just scratch that or,
That whole sentence, well. I mean, I don't know how you all feel about providing records of all repairs over $5,000. I don't know what you guys are gonna do with records of their repairs that they're having to make, because you're gonna be getting those records all the time, and what are you gonna do with them? It serves no purpose. I mean, they're making repairs, they're not taking out debt.
and it's like it says here, the comment seems to be like an uneven burden.
Yes, it is on myself as well as you guys, because there's nothing you're gonna do with that.
So we'll just scratch that.
You guys on the water board agree with what Kim just discussed with us on that?
Unless you wanna provide X amount of repairs to us, but like she said,
Here's the thing. You guys can come to their meetings
Right,
and listen to them being
Yep.
discussed.
Yep.
You guys can read their minutes
right.
after the meetings of what's discussed.
Yep.
I don't think there's a purpose
Okay,
to provide you all with invoices or copies or anything like that on their repair bills.
more of extra paper.
Um,
yeah, if you guys are okay with it, I think we're good with it to just strike that.
there's no reason to reimburse the town for audits because they pay for their own audits.
True,
It's a separate audit.
strike that.
Okay, audit language stricken.
There are two separate auditors now, Kim?
Same auditor,
Oh, okay.
both entities, yeah.
Yeah.
You want the budget by September 30th?
Um,
That's on you.
I don't have a problem with that, because Teresa and I would think we start
I
what?
thought we started, I think that's a good date.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I think we start August, September. And
Right,
we,
Tim?
yeah, and then we do the first presentation of it September, or October,
September, yeah.
and then we finalize it in December.
Double checking.
Yeah, I think that's. Paul, in answer to your comment on 2.3 operation, maintenance and repair of the facilities, you asked, who does this project work? How does this project work now? Who conducts the work on the system? The ORC hired by the water authority conducts the repairs and maintenance and operation on the facilities. The town at one time employed a water person, and that water person was under the town's employment, but doing those services, but that has gone by the wayside since before I got here. And now the authority hires their own ORC to conduct all of that, and they pay them out of their budget.
Okay, and that's what it seemed like from reading this agreement. I guess one of my concerns was that it wasn't really clear necessarily who was doing what in that regard, who was
Yeah.
operating, who was maintaining. There may be some benefit to clarifying that the authority is the one that is actually operating, and it seems operating and maintaining the system.
Yeah, there's nothing that our little part-time public works person does for them, other than keep it plowed or mowed over there around the sewage plant, and accessible. The original operating agreement still had a language that the town employed conducted the work, which is one of the reasons we did those revisions on this current one.
Okay. Well, then in that regard, I could even just add just a little bit of language, just clearly delineating those responsibilities, just, the authority, maybe within subparagraph A there under 2.3, the parties shall cooperatively operate, maintain, repair. I think before that, well, we would probably want to establish that the authority, is I don't know if we want to go so far as saying the responsible entity, but that the authority, is or is anticipated to conduct the repairs of the system. Something that maybe gives us enough flexibility if the town wants to do any sort of work, but with the understanding that the authority is the one that's conducting this.
Yeah, and I don't know how we revise this verbiage in here, but I mean, it would seem
Yes, you
that,
do.
well, I am struggling with some of it, Ruth, because it seems like in a way it's being written to account for if the town is not there. And then it's not there doing like we are right now. We don't have an operating agreement. We're not conducting their operations for them. I'm looking at 2.3 operation, maintenance, repairs of facilities. If the authority engages third party to perform the operation services, then the authority shall provide a copy of the proposed agreement to the town for operations no later than September 1st of each year, and the town shall review and comment no later than 30 days of the calendar year. Again, we work hand in hand. So the town's gonna know that the authority has revised or entered into an agreement with another ORC or whoever's doing the operations for the authority.
How would we know that?
Because they have their meeting at 5:30 and we have our meeting at 7. And they can pick up a phone and call me, or they can read it in the minutes like the rest of the community does. But what input, if we're trying to make a clear separation between the two entities, what comments or input would the town board have in the agreement that they're making with an operator?
It's also unclear whether the town has to accept it or not under that language.
Right. If it's referring to Sasha and I as their employees, I can see where those comments would be beneficial as employees of the town, but just can I get a little explanation on why the town board would need to review and comment on the ORC agreement that the authority is entering into with their third party ORC?
I think they just need to provide a notice if they're making a change, because just as a courtesy, I'm not sure it has to be in the agreement, but
I think it kind of goes back to, what I mentioned at the beginning is, obviously the town wants to ensure that it has some sort of oversight, but the authority is a separate entity, that has its own operating, its own establishing agreement, its own bylaws. It is a separate entity. I did see this as an overreach. And it sort of creates more questions than it answers for me. The September 1st date, for example, the authority would have to provide a copy of the proposed agreement to the town for operations no later than September 1st of each year.
So
what if they hire somebody right before September 1st? What if they hire somebody right after September 1st? How does this even work? It's not really clear. And, it says the town shall review and comment no later than 30 days. And then it mentions that the failure of the town to provide timely comments on the agreement shall deem it accepted. So then is there some sort of acceptance that the town needs to make for any sort of third parties that perform operation services on behalf of them? That is an extreme overreach.
okay, so the highlights in red are not what our agreement says.
No, these are just proposed.
Right, so I think
But,
they're
and I guess it's more up for board discussion. Obviously, so fair
saying
point, Ruth.
yeah, my point is, we don't need to have those.
Right.
These were comments in the past, and I don't think there's anything that is in the existing, which is all in black, that is a problem for the community, for the town moving forward.
And so I think a better way to phrase this is, is the town okay with not including this language?
Yeah,
within
that's a
the-
better way. Simple.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
I
me
say
too.
strike it.
Yeah,
That makes it important.
I hadn't seen your comments over the side.
Or do not add
I was
this.
just questioning, because it was blue and red,
Yeah,
so I was
Hmm.
trying to,
yeah, the comment says, I see this as an overreach.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I me too. Let them do their board thing.
so we'll get rid of
and
that.
then, yeah, that next paragraph below that. Any and all expansion enlargements, yada, yada, yeah, specifically reviewed by the parties. And KWWA is the only one needs to look at that,
Well, I have some thoughts on this, and
okay?
it's not with regard to the town giving approval for it, rather than it might be beneficial for the town to be advised of these, as if you're not gonna know already, you all live here, you're gonna know, but expansions, enlargements, upgrades, renewals of a high dollar amount that will cause the authority to take on debt that could be at some point if these were
Yeah, I see what you're saying,
when it reverts over to the town, it becomes your debt.
Yeah.
So not necessarily getting your approval for it, because if they're gonna make them, if they need to make them,
right,
that's just the way it is. But
just
at
being
least
advised
you
of
guys
it.
being advised that this is happening and
Sure.
in your town, and that it could be incurring more debt that at some point could be passed on to the town. That's all it's doing.
Mhm.
But I don't think in any form or fashion, it needs to meet your approval for them to operate their system.
So would we scratch without the town's written approval? And put in something on there?
I would need the lawyers to weigh in on how that language.
Without notification to the town board instead.
Without
Perfect.
written approval.
No, get
Well,
rid of the,
Right,
Written
instead of, exactly, when it, at the very end, when it says without the town's written approval, and say instead, without notification to the town's board.
yeah, I like that,
How do you guys feel about that?
I don't have a problem with that.
It's good. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
cause this board may not be it.
You won't be here.
But if
Right.
We'll
something-
probably all be dead by the time this is reverted back to the town.
But
Yeah.
if something should happen, that gives the board, the future board at least say, hey, let's have a special meeting.
Yeah,
Just about. Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
It's a good point.
And this agreement is probably gonna change 100 times before that,
yes,
But in the meantime, let's make it right.
right?
Okay, so we're okay with that language, with that change at the end, notification to the board. Is that first sentence okay? Any and all expansions, enlargements, upgrades, or renewals shall be specifically reviewed by the parties? It almost seems a little redundant. I mean, you can probably just have that second sentence there standing alone.
All right,
I think so, yeah,
Okay. All right, we'll delete that.
you guys good with that?
Ruth, you good with that?
I figure if you're not, you'll be elbowing me here.
I'll be speaking up.
Yeah, if I have something to say, I'll,
You'll just pipe up.
yes.
I'll quit bothering you then.
I do have some comments, just to take us back a little bit here. I know we just jumped into 2.4 or 2.3, but if we can go to 1.3, I'd like to run a few things by the boards here. Okay,
Three.
90 to 30.
yeah, page 3. And it's 1.3. Okay, so it says this agreement may be terminated by the board upon the giving of It originally was 6 months advance written notice. There was a proposal years ago to change it to 30 days. As you can see from my comment, I'm very uncomfortable with this. I think that this reduction, really decreases the authority's sort of flexibility to respond or negotiate with the town, in the event of an impending termination here. If we're looking at 30 days, I mean, thinking back on continuity of services, you get a 30-day notice, and then, worst case scenario, you're handing over that infrastructure, everything 30 days later. I can't imagine that's going to go smoothly. This is a very
So
short period of time.
We actually experienced.
Yes, we
Yeah,
did.
I start to say that.
I thought
No,
in one things
yeah.
there was,
So, there's so much to this in my mind. So the timing, I don't think I personally don't have an opinion or a professional one, 90 days. The issue that is historic, which hopefully is not the case moving forward, is, on what basis to terminate, and then the ability to cure and try to work it out. So 6 months may be a little long. 30 days clearly is too short. We have all lived this, the people that have been here over the past couple years. And we need to avoid anything like that happening in the future. So, you can make a recommendation with regard to timing and criteria for doing so. Makes me uncomfortable as well, and that's reciprocal.
Okay. So I heard that 6 months may be a little long, 30 is a little short. I heard 90 there somewhere. I mean, I'm not opposed to 90.
90
Would
seems.
Yeah.
I'd be okay with that.
And there's other spots in here that are 90 days written notice, just like the line right above it.
Yeah,
But I also agree with your comment about the failure of the authority to act prudently in good faith in exercising its duties set forth under. I agree that's a very broad statement and can be construed in many different ways.
Yes, I would actually propose deleting that entire sentence.
okay,
A,
A.
yeah,
Yeah, 1.3A.
So what is
So-
the criteria for termination?
Well, B would still apply, the material failure to comply with the terms and conditions set forth herein. So in that regard, it's a material failure, so it's not any failure. It's not a minor or a technical failure. A serious failure to comply with the terms and conditions of the operating agreement. I think that's very fair. What are the town's thoughts on removing 1.3A?
I'm good
Yeah,
with removing
yeah.
it. You guys?
I think B pretty much sums it up.
Yeah.
So A makes it, like Johnny said, gray.
And I would agree with that. I think it makes it too gray. Okay, it sounds like we have a consensus here. I'll go ahead and delete A. We will keep B. Well, B is the new A.
What about 1.4?
1.4? Is it, I couldn't hear you, Ruth. Is that what you were referring to?
Yeah.
Yes, what, 0.4?
What about 1.4? I clarified some of the language in here. Originally, and more than clarify, I changed some of it. So it originally had the way it was drafted was upon any termination and the opportunity to cure has expired, the parties shall submit its respective claims for mediation within 30 days after the failure to cure has expired. Each party is responsible for all its fees and costs in mediation. So I just changed this around a little bit to reflect that upon any written notice of termination, not upon any termination, but upon the provision of that written notice, and when that opportunity to cure a default, right, has expired, parties will submit, their claims and, and can go to mediation at that point. Alternative dispute resolutions, it's a good way to cool heads. You're not going to court, you're not spending money on lawyers litigating, which adds up fast. I would always prefer mediation rather than just going to court, because that has the potential to save you a whole lot of money.
Didn't have before, and it's a much better solution for both entities.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think the way that it's revised on paper is good.
Okay. Now, I had a bit of a question on that last sentence. It says town shall turn over to the authority operation of the facilities and all books, records, accounts, and monies relating to the facilities without delay. That was proposed to be deleted. I wasn't exactly sure why. If anybody has any sort of context to that would help. Does it need to be deleted?
Well, if we're in mediation, why would we be turning over any of the books, records, accounts, and monies until we've reached a resolve either way in mediation?
Good clarification, Kim. I was referring to, if mediation is ultimately unsuccessful, do we still not want that provision in there?
Well,
Well, I think you probably need to be clear.
maybe clarifying language.
Says
that
if
the
mediation
was not
fails.
successful.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we'll keep that in there. Okay,
Yeah.
But just revise the wording of it.
Yeah,
Right.
okay, that's helpful.
successful then. Yeah.
There's another place it should be, but I don't know, not like,
There's another place in here.
maybe.
I thought that we had another spot for mediation in here.
Well, I think, so we have default, which,
That's what it was.
yeah, so. Yes, if we all were to do this over, we would do it differently, so there really isn't a great provision with regard to what happens if we have to turn it over, and what that would look like and when.
Yeah.
So I don't think it belongs there.
I would agree. Well, maybe we table that until we get to the default section and kind of, see. I don't want to necessarily delete 1.4 now and then have something in there that we need later.
Right, I mean, I could talk about this all day, like, we don't talk about who shares in the costs of mediation and,
Yeah.
all the standard things that would typically see, so.
I think you did account for that though, within the default.
Yeah,
Each
I
of
think it's the default. So it's just, anyway, the formatting.
The default, that's what you're saying, you're looking at the language under default, not the one we're looking at under 1.4, because it says each party shall pay their own respective claims for mediation.
Yeah,
Mhm.
fees and costs.
All right, let me look at this default section. There's also
Just
two
like
very different
trying-
versions.
Yeah, trying to avoid is like rewriting all of
Yeah.
it. You and I would, if we were to do it again, we would have that provision right there. you
Well,
know.
that's for sure.
We would move it.
I wish I could do this whole thing over again. I would love nothing more.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't think, I just wanted to avoid that, to be perfectly frank. So
Yeah.
we can get it to a place where both entities are comfortable and we can work together. Maybe next year we rewrite it so it really makes sense, but I don't know. I'll do whatever.
We can move 1.4. Well, how about I can move the substance of 1.4 to that default section and just keep it all nice and clean in one spot.
It's so much better that way, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah. All right.
I'm
Is
not
everybody
reading.
okay with that?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Anything get clearer than red.
Looks like.
Right.
It's all been scratched out.
That was silly too. Okay. What is the bottom line that I
and
read?
so what we'll do after this, everybody, is we'll have a clean draft. We'll look at it again. We will distribute it, and hopefully the town will have a quorum to say,
It does laugh.
Oh, we do.
We do quorum now.
anyway.
We do have a quorum.
Clean version.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So
That's like-
anyway,
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, this
So we
probably
will-
has,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
this probably has nothing to do with the agreement here, but Ruth is well aware of this, and I think some of our new water board members. We need, did we ever find the original establishing agreement?
No, that's what we're talking about with Jill earlier.
Okay.
No.
Where is, because we have already experienced this, where would be an appropriate place for all of us to decide? Because the town has been chastised and such about appointing board members. The reason we appoint the water board members is that is our little niche that they can keep carrying the insurance through the town.
That's what insurance has explained to me. Donnie's got his hand raised.
Yes, Tony.
So, there is an amendment, and I have a copy of the amendment to the agreement that says the town board will appoint the members to the water board.
Yeah, it's amendment to the
Yeah,
establishing.
this
agreement.
establishing. There
Okay,
is an amendment
Yeah,
that was
there is.
passed,
okay,
and there is a copy. And
okay.
Would it be advantageous to incorporate those into one revised
Yes.
establishing?
I
agreement?
would, I think that would be a good idea.
Yes,
That way it
Then we can
doesn't.
also
and
list.
once I get all this stuff put in a timeline, I'll have it all in a timeline, and all that stuff will be there too. And then we can redo that, yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that all that stuff, I mean, it's just,
That would be good.
it's a disaster right now. as far as-
Um,
But,
Yeah, that's just been my main concern.
but it is there. There is-
Okay,
there is-
good.
There is agreement.
Thank you.
It's passed in like 2014.
Yeah, it was not too long after the establishment agreement.
There was a few amendments made in succession.
Yeah,
That's right.
I'm looking at 2.2 agreements.
Yeah, me too.
Again, this goes back to the discussion I had earlier about, it seems that it would be more along the lines of keeping that communication open, that, you know, they're just entering into this agreement. I don't see why the town would hold them up providing written approval to improvements. I mean, we all know they're trying to put in a redundancy system right now. And the town is following it through attending the board meetings and, you know, and as being citizens of this town. All our board are citizens of this town. So they're directly involved in any improvements that this water authority makes within this town. I'm not sure how you guys feel about this. Where it requires you to the town make written approval to you to enter into these types of intergovernmental agreements, private agreements, to extend the infrastructure.
My comment on that,
Please
I
do.
see no issue with these two boards right now being able to go along with that. Suppose that changes in the future. And things really do need to be put in writing. You know what I mean?
So it may be needed in the future,
Yes,
whether it's needed now or not.
yes. Yeah, that's what I look towards.
But if we keep it in, we'll have to get your written approval.
Well, and it goes so far as to say, in the event you're unable to agree, we go back to mediation and then each of you incur your own legal costs and expenses. I mean, why are we taking it to the extent that we're looking at hiring lawyers because you guys are trying to conduct business
Yeah.
under the authority?
Well, is there a different way we could word that? So that it would protect both boards come the future, but it's not something that we have to really abide by right now,
I don't know if
you know?
saying, we don't have to abide by it. You know, we want it written in a way that it's advantageous for both.
I know,
Well,
I
what
know.
happens when somebody?
Maybe a way to split the baby here is to narrow what, you know, what sort of or what sort of approval. Let me start over. Specify what approval is needed for and limit it to only agreements that provide additional water and wastewater service. Big ticket item probably doesn't happen very often. You know, is something that will impact the town once the town eventually does have this system. So I can understand the interest in it, but without tying down the authority in every little decision that it makes.
Yeah, because we don't want to do that. All
So,
right,
so then, yeah, my recommendation would just be to keep that paragraph, but severely limit it to only include the agreements that provide additional water and wastewater service.
Are we talking about like
What?
the road and bridge agreement? Are you talking about something like that? Like when they,
That's an IGA.
and that's intergovernmental agreements.
That's what I was talking about.
So are we talking about something to that extent?
Yeah, something like that would be covered. I mean, in my mind, it's sort of extending infrastructure is what I have in my mind, really.
So are they making notification to the board or are they having to wait for the board's approval? And let me tell you where my concern is there.
Yeah, please do.
In the past, we've had town board members with personal agendas. And say those town board members have an issue with who the authority is trying to enter into an agreement with. And they make it their project to keep that agreement from going through for the water authority, just because they have to get their approval to do that.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, that's a very valid concern. I mean, I don't know anybody on the town board right now, and I'm not speaking to any of your character or anything like that. But in the future, if there are different, people on there that may have certain ideas, I mean, yeah, that is a risk. Let me clarify. My preference would be to not have 2.2 in here at all.
I would agree,
That's
because that's
kinda
where we're
where I'm
kind of going
going
with
with
everything
that.
right now.
yeah,
So why are we putting some in at that and then some taking it out?
Right.
Yeah,
If we're,
some are more lenient, some are.
right,
Exactly.
if we're
I would
clarifying,
just
let's
take out
clarify what we're doing.
2.2. Yeah.
I mean,
Does anybody?
I'm
Because the
good
water
with that.
board needs to be able to make decisions.
Yeah, they've got it without waiting around for us.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
That way
Otherwise,
there's no
why do you
line
have
in
them?
there going.
Exactly.
that's what the
Right.
point is.
yeah,
Well, that's the whole point of making sure you're independent, is that
Right.
you can make your own decisions.
Yes,
Yeah, get her done.
yeah, I
We're all in
agree.
agreement on that then.
2.2.
yes.
Okay, no, I want to be up to
Mhm.
10.
Everybody but Tammy is allowed to talk.
Okay.
Country is going in the right direction.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, Tammy, jump on board, we're gonna push you off the boat.
You drown, won't you?
No, I'll throw you a dinghy.
But you're gonna have to like
But
50
you're,
feet back.
it's up to you
man.
after that.
Not sharing any of our snacks.
All right, so 2.2 is out. We talked about 2.3.
Right.
I think we're okay on 2.3 as it stands. We've deleted the proposed additions in 2.3A1 and A2. We've clarified that we'll notify the board if the authority is impairing the rights of the town with respect to the maintenance of all facilities and infrastructure.
C,
Mhm.
on the next page.
Yep.
It's my
responsibility to make sure the authority is insured in accordance with their resolutions and LOCs.
Okay, so that should stay as town?
Yeah, there's, as the operating agent for them, I'm the only one that has the ability to affect that. None of them sitting on that board has the ability to do that.
And I was a little confused as to that addition there. So I'm actually happy to hear you say that. Okay, so is everybody okay with us keeping that as the town rather than the authority that shall cause, that shall get all the insurance?
Yep, I'm good with it.
Okay.
At the bottom, just take that red mark out. I think that's a good deduction. That doesn't make sense.
What?
Which
Very
section are you in?
Very bottom of that same page.
It's got, it's scratched out.
Yeah, I say leave that out.
The insurance policy
Yeah. I
It's-
don't really
it's already
understand that
scratched out.
paragraph.
shall have a deductible clause.
So you wanna put the scratched out thing back in?
No, leave it there.
No,
Leave it scratched out.
I know, but that's what I mean, you wanna
Yeah,
leave it in.
leave it out.
Oh,
They scratched it out. Leave it scratched out.
Oh, leave it scratched out,
Yeah.
okay,
Leave it scratched out.
okay, that's double checking,
Delete.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so leave that out.
okay. Making sure I'm safe.
Okay. Oh, 2.4.
Yeah.
So as you can tell from my comment, I didn't like this. I didn't like the deletion. So the original agreement said that each party covenants not to sue the other for violations of regulations, which I really like because you're not spending money on lawyers suing each other, especially when if the authority violates a regulation, they're going to have to answer for that to the state. They're going to have to correct that violation. So, I just don't agree with the removal of this. I like the covenant not to sue for a violation of regulations. You're gonna have to deal with CDPHE or EPA, if the authority is violating any sort of regulations here. So,
Yeah, I don't see a reason for the town to sue them for something they're already dealing with.
right. And then it just incurs expenses on both parties. It makes no sense to me.
Right. Leave that in.
Yeah, we're trying to work together here.
Right. Yeah, we don't want to. You don't want to add a provision that can sue each other when we're, for that kind of stuff. It's anyways. Okay. So we agreed under 2.5 to delete that the sentence that was proposed that the authority shall provide records of all repairs over 5,000 past due accounts, etc. I'll leave that in.
No,
take it out.
Okay, leave it out. Leave it out.
Strike
Okay.
this.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Right.
The very top, that whole red line.
Yeah, strike that sentence, the whole red sentence.
I agree with that revision to the next paragraph.
Which one are you talking about, Kim?
The town ensures all of its administrative services are paid by the authority and shall be reviewed annually. The town
Yeah.
ensure all of. Am I reading that wrong? I'm taking that as the town is assuring that I, as the administrator, will pay all of its administrative services for the authority.
Am
I?
Town shall ensure that its administrative services are paid, that the authority pays for the administrative services and shall be reviewed annually. Yeah, I mean, I was a little confused with the way that this was drafted. I'm not exactly sure what the town's actually reviewing on an annual basis here, and why there's an annual requirement. This whole thing confused me.
Yeah, we don't.
I mean, you're insuring it anyway by paying the bills, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I don't understand some.
Our
Awesome.
insurance was not always, shall we say, clear of who is paying what and when, which I think we've now resolved.
Okay. So is everybody okay with just deleting that sentence then?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's kind of confusing.
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Would agree too. I don't understand the context.
Yeah.
Part of me thinks it's there saying, I'm gonna make sure they pay me for administrative services, and then part of me is saying, is it saying that I'm gonna ensure all of their bills are paid?
And then they're gonna review it.
Yeah,
You're gonna ensure that anyway because you do it, right? You pay,
And
you.
we've
we
got
pay you
Teresa
because
crossing
You
it.
write the check. and-
yeah.
Right.
So I think that's, I don't.
You guys review those at the monthly meetings?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, just sort of a function of your normal operations.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's out. We discussed this, the audit provision, everybody agreed to strike that.
Yes.
And that brings us to 2.6.
So Teresa and I and whoever else they choose to have on their budget committee do budget review every year. I don't understand the authority shall provide the budget to the town by September 30th. It needs to be revised in a way that it says the town works collectively with the authority in preparing the annual budget.
You mean cooperatively?
Yes, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Why don't you do your town budget and we do ours?
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It's putting over on you to have your budget to me
Yeah,
by the September 30th, when in actuality,
That's
I
why-
work on behalf
That's why
of
this was
you
confusing to me.
to get with you and your, whoever you select for on your budget committee.
why don't you just put in there that the town and the authority will each have their own budgets by September 30th. For review by,
Well, it's because this is written in a way that it's put in the it's setting forth my actions on how I conduct business for you.
then
But
it says,
but the way they're proposing the change is saying it's putting it on your shoulders to have it to me, when really we're working cooperatively to do it together every year. Do you see what I'm saying?
I said, see this one?
I don't want to leave it open for interpretation. I love that word. I've heard it so many times over the last 2 years. My interpretation of this is,
mhm.
and I don't want to leave this open for interpretation for anybody to say, well, it's written in there that the authority is supposed to do it and they're supposed to have it to you. You see what I'm saying?
Well, just put in there the authority in the town shall provide its budget to its proper boards by September 30th, and then. Because the town doesn't go over the authority's budget, do they?
No.
And we don't go over yours.
No,
right?
because
They're
of
totally
language that was
different.
somewhere,
Well,
when I
yeah.
started here, for whatever reason. It was a requirement that your budget be included with our budget, and I don't know where that was, and I got with DOLA one year, and I'm like, what's going on here? They're like, I don't know, you guys submit it like that every year. We don't need to see the water authority's budget on your budget, because you're two separate entities, they have their own with us, and you submit theirs separately, and that's when we split them out. But up to then, you guys were submitted to the town was actually put in as part of their budget.
Yes, we did that for a long time.
So it sounds like that needs to be just struck. Because
We have
if
to have
the
budget.
town,
Or have,
I mean, the parties are bound by state statute regarding budgeting. You probably can strike this entire thing if you really wanted to. Let me just go
yeah,
through
because
this
we're
again.
two separate entities.
I mean,
And,
they
it'd be nice to put the date in there when you need to strike. the
Right,
budget.
so I need, it'd be nice to say, I need to have a draft budget to you guys by September 30th, so that you may form your budget committee and then structure your budget off of what I've provided for draft. You see what I'm saying? It needs to be put on me to have something to you to even review or draft your budget off of by a certain time.
So under the water authority, what is your title? An administrator? then change it to administrative.
Yes, the administrator of the authority shall have a budget to the.
Yep.
To the,
Yeah, change the language, instead of
Yeah.
the town, it should
Yeah.
be the
Administrator
administrator.
shall present the authority with a draft itemized budget by September 30th, the calendar year.
Yep.
The authority budget shall be separate from the town's annual budget. Done.
there you go.
Yep,
They're always the best changes.
And we don't need to agree on either one's budget.
No.
That's what I'm
we
saying.
don't need that.
Yeah, all you need is just those two sentences, really.
Yep,
The last half, get rid of. Do you wanna
Except
keep
for
the last
emergency items,
sentences
additional
now?
costs
Except for
above the approved
emergency
itemized
items,
budget must be
additional
expressly
costs.
consented to in writing by the authority.
We still have to.
Well, that's still appropriations at
Yeah.
the end of the year.
yeah,
You have to- You change it, you have to.
yeah, I would leave that.
I think it's good to always have the time frame because people
Yeah.
forget. People forget and then you gotta go look it up and it's just good to have it there. Hopefully they never change the state law.
So are we leaving the last sentence in, except for emergency items, additional cost above the approved itemized budget must be expressly consented to in writing by the authority?
That's what
I think we should.
Yeah.
Should, because those are done at the end of the year when we do appropriations, so should
Yeah.
it say through appropriations at the end of the year?
No, we have to, the authority, we approve it,
Uh-huh.
do we not?
Cause I interpret this as we move through the year, like we had an increase in repair costs to the sewer plant last year that exceeded our budgeted amount. And so then we gotta do appropriations at the end of the year to account for those overages.
But we still have to approve our budget in writing.
Right,
That's how I'm reading it, is we have to approve our
If you
budget.
change anything, you just have to appropriate it and have the board approve it.
Right.
right.
Which is
State-
basically
that's
what it's
state
saying.
Yeah,
So
that's the way I,
that doesn't change the context of that sentence then?
No.
Just leave the sentence in like it is?
Yep.
That's what I was.
So it should say the administrator shall present the authority with a draft itemized budget by September 30th. So each calendar year for the subsequent year, the authority budget shall be separate from the town's annual budget, except for emergency items, additional costs above the approved itemized budget must be expressly consented to in writing by the authority. Get rid of the rest, yeah?
Yep,
yep,
that's what it looks good to
Okay.
me.
Just double checking here.
Okay,
So I'm writing my notes.
Are we leaving in that one sentence, the parties must agree on their respective budgets prior to approval? Is that out?
no,
That's out.
Okay, all right, good. Okay, and we're leaving that last sentence for the emergency. Okay, I'm clear on all that. Okay, I think we can move on to 2.7 then.
So that has another line in it about providing copies over $5,000. And we've scratched that on two other places.
Yeah, yeah, good catch. So everybody okay with just nixing that?
Yep.
Yeah, we're gonna put authority back into the first sentence, town shall provide the authority unlimited access
yeah, I
to our
don't know why
records.
that was taken out.
I wasn't sure, it's blue, it's red, it's marked out,
Yeah.
so.
Okay, so we're leaving the original in, and town shall provide the authority and limited access to, I just changed it to its records.
Yeah,
yep.
Let's see. Okay, okay, so that stays. Next sentence, the authority shall provide copies, that is out. And then where necessary, this was changed to the parties. It was originally the town or appropriate individuals connected therewith shall execute such documents, provide authorizations, take actions as are required to allow full and unrestricted access. Well, since it's just the town providing the authority with access now, I think it can just stay as the town.
Yeah, and I think the reason, in my opinion, why, if you read that sentence, why it was changed to the parties, is they're given by changing it at the parties, they're given authorization to take actions to the authority. And that would be my interpretation of why they wanted to change that to the parties.
The parties was the authority.
To execute,
Both of our reports.
shall execute documents, provide authorization and take actions as required to the lawful and unrestricted.
Yeah, you know,
this section, so. I think it should be the town. I'm just saying, the reason I think that the party.
Should we put town staff rather than just the town?
I think town captures it well enough. Because it also says, you know, well, no, never mind. But it says or appropriate individuals connected there. That's kind of a different thing. But I'm comfortable with just the town. If you all want to specify it to the town's, you know, staff, that I think it doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
Okay. They want to leave it as the town.
Okay.
I mean, I see the underlying, you know, reason there why somebody's trying to change that to parties, but it's.
Yeah. Okay. All right, that brings us to 2.8. There was a proposed deletion here of that second sentence. I don't really have a strong opinion on this one way or the other.
Well, I think it's easy to say, it's easy to give a schedule of all full-time employees. It's two, Sasha and I think we're all aware of who that is. And then any independent contractors, that's gonna be hired by the authority, not by the town.
Yeah, we don't have anything to do with that.
Yeah, so the proposed strike is acceptable then?
Yep.
Just leave it struck?
I think so.
Eliminate the gray.
Okay. This was also changed later on in this paragraph to reflect that to the extent required by law, it originally said the town staff shall have water and wastewater operator certifications. Now it says the authority operators shall have water and wastewater operator certifications. I don't see any
Yes.
issue with that, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Kim, you know better than I do on that one, maybe.
Well, that goes back to the fact that when they originally entered into their first one, the town employed the water operator.
Right.
Don't, so now they have a third-party contractor.
Yeah, we used to have a maintenance guy that was certified
Yeah,
way back when.
but there's that word parties again.
Yeah,
It needs to be to the satisfaction of the authority, not. Yeah. Parties.
all right.
Yep. Okay. So we'll leave the authority operator shall have water and wastewater operator certifications. The authority shall require independent contractors to maintain coverage to the satisfaction of the authority. Okay, I think that takes care of 2.8.
Mhm.
Okay. 2.9 is yeah. So there was a sentence added. This contract shall be reviewed annually and renewed in accordance with the provisions set forth herein for the budget, and that's talking about the ORC contract. You know, again, I was just a little unclear as to who's actually reviewing this thing. Maybe it's worth saying who. But yeah, I mean, again, no real strong opinions on this one. If you want to review the contract annually, I think that's a fine idea.
And I think that should be done by the authority.
Yeah,
Yes.
Parties.
Annually
It's
by
always
the
been done by
authority.
you guys,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you could just put by the authority after annually.
Yeah. If you all don't mind, I'd rather kind of do the
By the
same thing,
authority.
maybe like active voice, like the authority shall review this contract annually and renew it in accordance. You know, so
Sure.
that's
Sounds like
just, I don't know,
Make
that's
it
just me being nitpicky.
Yeah, and in that last sentence, it says the parties shall provide supervision. Again, who are the parties?
That should
That
be
should be the
authority.
authority.
Yeah,
That's what I thought. Change parties to authority.
Mhm.
yep.
Which section was that?
Same section, last sentence of that.
Last
the last
sentence, it says
sentence.
the party shall,
Oh,
you should say the authority.
yeah, thank you. Good catch. Okay, I think that brings us to 2.10. Payment for operation of the system. Authority shall pay the town on a monthly basis for services provided by the town pursuant to the agreement, pursuant to an annual budget. Town shall invoice the authority on a monthly basis, and if necessary, more frequently if an emergency happens. This is the addition. All invoices remitted to the town for payment shall include copies of any and all invoices and corresponding records. So, I mean, right off the bat, this was a little confusing to me because where did it even previously discuss invoices submitting to the town? Doesn't really provide any specifics on what the authority could invoice the town for. I really don't see that this is necessary. Those are my thoughts.
This when the budget's been, it was all together,
Okay,
probably pertain to that then, this makes.
I'm trying to figure out where that came from.
Probably a long time ago when we had our budget under, with the.
Under the
towns.
towns, okay.
So,
So I
but
don't
now we
think-
pay all our own, we don't invoice, it's all split.
Yeah,
And strike that.
Just
Get rid of that last
get rid of
sentence.
that.
Okay.
All right.
I would think.
I was gonna ask that. The invoices, I didn't know we ever got any. So,
well, we did, when I first started here, I had to create a monthly invoice. Showing
Oh, well,
all of
yeah.
the split bills.
that was a long time ago.
Yeah,
So
I didn't think recently we did.
Whole bunch of stuff got left out of the old contract, all about the amount and all that stuff.
well,
If
The
you look
amount
at
not
the
in
old
here?
2.9, there's a whole bunch more stuff in there. The original. It has
Yeah,
the
so,
amount.
so that brings us to Article 3 here. There weren't a whole lot of changes within Article 3. 3.3 and 3.4 and 3.5 include some sentences at the end there for your review. And these were proposed additions years ago.
Hold on just a second, Paul.
Yep.
Jill had a question on some deletions that
at
were
2.9,
previously.
Oh, sorry, Jill. I didn't even hear that. Yeah, 2.9.
It had the fees that, you know, that are paid every month. It had a bunch of listing of operational services and.
We didn't do that together, Kim, we listed everything out with the authority. That's all been taken out.
The amount of the contract,
Yeah, the amount of the contract.
what is paid for in that amount and what
is that page
is
not in
not
there?
paid for.
No,
It was part of 2.9 in the old agreement.
I did.
They were-
But in the revisions, that's not in there?
Yeah.
Isn't
I'm
it,
not
I
seeing anything.
saw something that said what we get paid, an
No.
amount of,
Yeah. I know what you're referring to, because I took that out and I have it in my bill folder, so I know which ones I'm paying.
unless I'm imagining things.
So go to the one in your packet.
I see the
old
old agreement.
Yeah, it's in the phone.
I don't see it in the new one. Paying it for operation of system looks like, here's quite a bit, delete it.
That's 2.9 in the original.
Yes.
it's,
Oh, yeah, so if you guys go to the packets I sent you, Ruth and Paul. The operating agreement that I put in the packet.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Go to 2.9.
Okay.
There's a whole bunch more language in there. That. Was put in as far as division of,
Yeah, I knew I saw it someplace.
Payment for operation of system.
yeah,
amount of contract, all that stuff.
Yeah,
We need to change the auditor name.
Yeah. Now I'm wondering why that,
Add.
yeah, because I was reading that before.
yeah,
iPads.
I
yeah,
don't know
so.
where.
In.
That's weird.
in
Okay.
packets back, I put a breakdown of. More current,
oh, you're fine.
invoicing, shared invoicing. The very, very back, there's a Excel spreadsheet in the packet. The long one, before the long.
This one,
Oh, before the long one, no,
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 Oh, that's gotta be. close to
it
the
looks like
last page.
this, yeah, it's right, it should be right
It's
before the
page
long.
16.
Yeah, Brett has it, Laurel
Oh, yeah,
has
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's before the
Looks
long.
like this.
there's too many pages here.
Yeah,
I have too many copies. It's too-
so
Uh-huh.
that's a good point, Teresa. Because we haven't started getting invoicing yet that includes, oh, there's a typo in there too, I hate that. That includes those tablets yet, because they're not operational yet, so they're not doing anything with them, so they're not included on there. I need to get with IT and see what that bill's gonna look like once they add those tablets on there. I want them to create a separate billing,
That would be.
and I've asked them to.
Okay.
Create a separate billing for you guys, so that.
Oh, to have Phoenix have a separate billing. for them. Okay.
The only thing is that. That would be a monthly maintenance just on the iPads. I don't know if they can split out the monthly maintenance into two separate bills as far as. I don't know, the computer system as a whole.
Hold off on that, but could we not put this paragraph back into,
Oh, we should.
yeah,
I don't know why that was not in the,
but the
The
iPad,
attorney's
maybe we could
revisions.
figure that out.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I
that's.
think it's
inside.
beneficial.
yeah,
Amendment or
so.
something.
That whole section needs to be added back in there to you guys' revisions for 2.9. It's missing a lot of language.
Yeah,
And I,
And do you wanna put the dates in there, because every year you'd have to update it? I mean, I see the 2024, you know, I understand why it's important to have that in there, but then you're gonna have to redo the agreement every year, because you have to.
Well, it should have language in there that it's automatically renewing every year.
Yeah,
I did
unless-
see that.
Say annually,
Yes,
Just,
yeah.
just put annually instead of each year and then
yeah,
clarify it.
Yeah, there should be language in here that it automatically renews every year unless the boards find purpose to revise it.
There
Right,
is, I
on the
can't
front-
remember where it's
front
at.
yeah, there is. That's pretty close to the beginning of the agreement, I want to say.
so you wouldn't
Okay.
wanna really put those dates here.
No.
Because you don't wanna have to redo this every year.
So should we
And what if
say
you change it?
January 1st?
We should put the amount in that's current, because then if we do change the amount, it would need to be updated. But that's not.
So should it just say January 1st through December 31st each year?
Or
Yeah.
annually, yeah,
Yeah, either way.
Date specific?
Without a year, yeah, just a date, just a month and a day.
And what about the specific dollar amount?
yeah,
Oh, it
that
needs to say
absolutely needs
that.
to be there, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
As the base amount,
Okay,
but again, we don't wanna leave 2024 in there.
yeah.
And in my opinion, the amount agreed upon shall include the following optional services. Do we really need to outline those, or is it?
I was gonna
Well,
ask that.
Is
and
it,
that's where I kind of did a revision of that spreadsheet I sent you, because. So this, you're saying this is included in the operational services, but then you go to the second page and chooses to write separate checks. There are some of these that. I mean, you don't need to say you're gonna write a separate check for Denali. Denali has nothing to do with the town whatsoever.
right,
Comcast, I pay that online, it comes to the town, and I split that between the two accounts,
Mhm.
but. I mean, there's gotta be ORC, the town has nothing to do with ORC.
You know,
So,
yeah, go ahead, Kim.
I'm sorry, property and liability amounts specific to property insured by source by the authority. If you look on there, I put a note on the side that says. It was easier to just split that total property casualty bill. 3/4 to KWWA and 1/4 to the town. There's a breakdown there of all the properties that are being insured. But there's a lot of additional insurances. Over and above property and casualty, like your emergency breaks in the system. Mobile insurance for your tablets. Those are all shared policies.
that's why we had some of that language that we just looked at revising, because it got so murky, remember?
Convoluted.
And
So
because
my,
it always ultimately did it make sense to have two separate policies? And there was so much crossover.
Right. So then my proposal was, instead of listing these all out individually, including these costs at the top under the operating agreement monthly payments, and then maintaining the ones at the bottom are just separate, because those are indeed separate bills for the water authority. You get those separately. They're not a bill that comes for the town and then the town splits out.
That was gonna be my suggestion, as well as on the next page. Why do we have to break out who they continue writing checks to?
I mean, you guys don't
I
care.
agree with that.
I don't care who they write checks to. It's their
Yeah, I
bills as
mean,
long as they're paying them.
I'm with you
Yes.
and Donnie on that one. I mean, so 2.9, it specifies the amount you have to pay. It specifies the method that you have to pay it. It doesn't really matter, the specific, listing of what it's for or what's even carved out, what it's excluding. You have the agreement to pay, you have the method to pay. If you don't pay it, that's a default. And that's it. It doesn't matter, if it's for Adobe Zoom or for a ham sandwich, doesn't make a difference.
Right.
Can you,
Okay,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say about those bills, instead of listing the name specifically, which one you're gonna pay, just say that the all applicable bills.
Yes.
And,
Yeah.
and you're gonna, whoever's signing the checks is gonna be reviewing them anyway, and they're gonna say,
Right.
they may not know the exact amount, but they may know why are we paying this person or something.
Right, I mean,
Right.
those checks I
Applicable
present to
bills.
Teresa are they're exclusive to KWWA.
Right.
Mhm.
They don't need to be listed out here individually.
No, cause they could change anyway.
They could change all the
You know,
time.
the trash
Mhm.
company changed the name,
Right.
the telephone, whatever it is.
And
I mean,
I think one of the things that we might just put under that, because it is an agreement and an amount, is something as, this will include all tasks to operate the authority, at the business level, some type of wording such as that, so that we do have an out that says, hey, if the town is not paying our bills, or hey, if the town's not reading the water meters, or hey, if the town, not doing something that we're paying them for, then there is some type of provision in this contract to cover that,
I think that was the original intent of this,
Right,
is
I
telling
really
me.
like that.
right.
Yeah.
But if we just do that within, and not list it all individually,
Mhm.
at more of a broad reach.
Yeah,
Just to protect us down the road. in case
Sure.
Somebody says, the KWWA should be paying this, or the town should be paying this, you have something written down.
right.
Right.
Yeah,
both
I
sides.
agree with that.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so everybody's in agreement. We'll keep 2.9. We'll remove, and the original 2.9. We'll remove I'm sorry, what was that?
Remove the years.
Remove
Take out
the years.
Yeah.
Yep,
remove
we're taking out the specific years. The payments will be the $5,500 over 12 months. And we're pretty much eliminating everything after, starting with the amount agreed upon above shall include the following. Everything
Yes.
there on out is out.
There needs to be some discussion about that amount though, because that
Right.
spreadsheet I gave is the new itemization of shared costs. So I need the two boards to have a discussion about that and agree on something to do with that. Moving forward.
And that's the long spreadsheet.
And we did that in our
So the
regular
short
meeting.
one.
Oh,
We
sure.
did
The
that
short
in our
colored one.
regular meeting.
However you guys want to do it. It doesn't matter to me.
Oh, it's in here someplace.
Document.
I have too
Well,
many
that
copies
amount
here.
Is what's shown here. This $66,000 is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
There it is.
And
And
then
that's gonna be in this governing document, the 66,000.
But I'm saying that amount would change based off of
Yeah.
Right.
new.
When that amount changes, you have to draw up a new document.
But what she's saying is it needs to change now, is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
These
she's
are what the
proposing
current
that it
costs
needs to
are.
change now.
Yes,
Oh,
Yeah.
I see.
And that's why it was put in there so that, because this was done 2 years ago.
right.
So things have changed since then in some aspects.
And that's why I was recommending not putting the dollar amount, because it's changed.
Well, you
But
have to have a
It
dollar.
has to have a dollar amount because they have to know what they're paying monthly. And
Right.
it's a contract amount split out over 12 months, so it has to be stated what that contract amount is and what those payments are.
So what you're saying is current amount is the 78,419 is the current amount. The water authority's current amount.
Of
Split.
shared costs.
Right,
Yeah,
shared
shared.
That we
costs
should be paying.
that we should be paying.
If, and looking at this, if you look at the, so you guys just approved the Civic Plus. So I just paid those bills. I split those between the two entities, the startup and this annual one for the year, okay? Moving into 2026, that's what those amounts will be. Do you want to put them in there now? And make some mention or that? Or just put them in there knowing that those amounts go into next year?
Into 26.
Into 26, because for 2025, the startup and the annual has already been paid as of last week. Once you guys approved it and I signed those contracts, I paid, they set those bills and I paid them. So they're done for 2025. 1,500 and 1,400 won't kick in until 2026.
But does that need to be included? Don't we pay that separately? Or is that paid as part of this agreement?
That comes as one bill.
Okay.
So what I'm proposing is, instead of listing all of these, okay, these will be included in operational. And then these will have a check written to them. Not making a list, as you said, rather have all of them fall under the operating agreement. Monthly amount or contracted amount. Instead of writing two checks.
I understand. Yeah.
Okay, what about? I understand we've got to put some sort of a figure in there. Can we add a clause somehow where it's? Because we review they review the agreement. Can we put some sort of a clause in there that would, help me, Kim, I'm trying to think of the wording, where we could go in and amend instead of rewriting a whole new thing.
So for
We make
instance,
amendments
like-
to it.
like, the Civic Plus, those amounts don't kick into next year. So you can figure that annual amount minus those amounts and say from February 1st through December 31st. This is what the contracted amount will be.
Okay,
Start January 1st of 2026. The contracted amount will change to whatever. So that will take into account for those two coming out in 2006 moving forward. Instead of having them pay them again in 2025 because they've already paid them.
right.
Can't you just have a statement in the operating agreement that says, just a generic statement about there will be an agreed upon amount at the end of every year, and there will be a resolution passed? Because
like that.
this could.
Yeah,
every
that's-
year, and
that.
all it has to
Kind
do
of
is
what I
have a
was, yeah,
resolution.
thank you. Thanks,
And-
Jill, that's what I was trying to say.
I like
And then
that.
That there would be a set amount and a resolution would be done
Yeah,
naming that
so
amount.
don't put an amount
Yes.
in here, just say there will be a resolution at the end of each year determining what. And then you have to pass that resolution.
How do you guys feel about that?
I like it.
It's kind of how we move an ordinance to a resolution, so we don't have to keep passing ordinances.
Yeah,
We then can make amendments by resolution without having to change the entire thing.
Because the amount is gonna change over the years.
yes,
Right,
We're probably gonna have to keep upping that.
yeah.
I would like
So-
to just add a little safety, net there. And if a board doesn't vote on a resolution, then maybe the prior amount, the prior
Right.
year
Previous years.
that will be the amount, something like that. Although, makes me a little uncomfortable because then maybe it's not enough and the board could abuse that, but it's better than nothing.
Well, and they could always reappropriate if they didn't
Yeah.
change it and then they decided a couple months into it, just
Yeah.
pass
That's a
it.
good point. That's true.
Yeah.
So this is
Okay.
only under, so the only thing that would change annually would be the amount and not any other context of the agreement.
Right.
So this might be a little bit off, I just wanna make sure it's not a typo, but under the general office supplies, it says split amount 500.
Well, think about it. They don't use much office supplies for the water authority. We
Right,
don't, I order them. Envelopes, which is
Yep.
probably the biggest expense office supplies wise. I order, at the beginning of the year, I order 10 boxes of paper that lasts us through the entire year. The majority of that is used on town business planning.
Right.
Main streets, town
Yes.
board.
So is that like just a set amount
That's
each
just
year?
it's just a set amount.
or-
Because their
Place
use of office
anywhere?
supplies is very nominal.
That doesn't need to be put anywhere or?
Well, that's part of that amount.
Part of their
Yeah,
resolution.
if you were looking at that $66,000, basically that's part of that.
Okay.
So it would be included in it yearly.
We have much more boards and commissions and
Yes.
committees. They
Yes.
have one board.
And then Kim, just for clarification, explain how you come up with the salary and benefits, employee salary and benefits for the KWWA portion.
So on our budget, and I should have that out for you. When we set our budget this year, there's a line item for KWWA. And there's a percentage of time spent by each employee on KWWA. Sasha is 40%, I'm 15%, Mendez is 10%. So meaning Mendez will go over to the sewer plant and he'll mow and weed eat and repair the structures over there that insurance says you've got a hole in your storage facility over there. I need that fixed, or you need a new handle, things like that Mendez does for you guys. The 15% of administration I do with regard to the water authority. Of the 100%, only 50% is KWWA and 40% of Sasha's job is done with you guys. So that's where that amount came from.
I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah,
Thank
I'm
you.
sorry, I should have given that.
No,
to
that's
you.
okay. So I think that the appropriation should be that number for the calendar year, if that's what it's costing us, you know, I mean,
We're gonna have to amend our budget.
unless they, which, yeah.
We hired that snow plowing service.
Right.
And from the fairground road up to the sewer plant is been marked a priority route for them. They have County Road 45, they have Kiowa Bennett Road, they have 86, and they have that road going up to the sewer plant. That has to stay clear all the time in case of emergencies. So I make them follow that every time we have snow.
Yeah, because we got that vehicle stuck up there that one day.
Thank you for clarifying.
Oh, that's
that.
right, we did, yeah.
Yeah.
Paul had a repair person up there for the sewer plant problems, and he
Yeah.
drove his big truck up in there after he was told not to and got stuck.
We got it stuck.
Then the truck that came to pull him out got stuck.
It
It was great fun.
was a great day.
That sounds like.
Really.
Under Comcast, we were forced last year to change phones by Comcast.
Yeah.
And when we did that, they took away our voice edge system. Before it was all included in one price, now it's two separate services by Comcast. So I have a bill from Voice Edge for our voicemail system, and I have a bill now for phone and internet. That's why that shows a different setup in 2023 as opposed to 2025.
All right, so follow along as best I could here. My takeaway from all this is everything that I said about 2.9 before stands, but now we are, well, I guess I'm not clear actually on how the boards want to proceed on this regarding this dollar amount within this. We can do it, you know, you can agree on an amount now and agree to do it by resolution later. You can keep the amounts now and agree to do it by resolution later. Ruth, if you have any ideas, I'm open to suggestions.
But I think it can be reviewed annually in their budget. And by approving the budget line items, you may avoid having to do a resolution.
And just do it every year?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
like
because that problem for us is really never gonna go away, right? The way things are set up, it's going to be an ongoing issue.
Yeah.
That both boards are gonna face.
And that way you don't have to do a resolution every single year and spend time and money on that.
That's what I think, because you know, Kim or whom, you know, understands what that is, and she takes those issues very seriously. And, you know, the boards get to make decisions and review that every year because things do in fact change. So if it's incorporated in the budget, and in fact, we're both respectively have to do it in our budget, that may be the easiest way.
I agree with you.
I don't mind that, because you're gonna appropriate it anyway.
Yeah, you just don't want any amounts in this document,
Right.
any set amounts.
Okay. So we won't include any set amount in 2.9. We'll just clarify that it's the amount, as set, by annual appropriations.
Right. Good. That was.
Well, that was sweet time.
On trees.
We could go a little further just to clarify that a little bit too, and saying, based on incurred costs. To where you cover that the town doesn't get mad at the authority and says, okay, now we're gonna charge you $150,000 for this, So I think that maybe if you add that in there, it kind of protect the authority's
Yeah.
end of their, it's not just open-ended.
Yeah,
I really like that.
I don't think it should be open-ended.
Right.
No. It needs to be
No,
documented.
because even vice versa, this
So
board,
then-
but suppose we had some bad water board members that's
That's-
like, oh,
Well,
you know.
suppose we had some,
Bad town.
Yeah, yes, works both ways.
yes, it
Yeah.
does.
I just think it's a hard number, then it's
Yes.
based, it's based on actual cost.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like
so
that.
it'll be based on an amount as set by annual appropriations and based on incurred costs.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
all right, just give me 1 minute to kind of note that.
Did you guys notice anything else from the old agreement that's not in the new one?
What about name changes? Well, I guess that's.
Yeah, that's
Sorry, that's
done.
farther.
Yeah,
And for what it's worth, now that we have discovered that, I'll be going through that original version of the agreement to make sure nothing else has been omitted. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so moving on. We're in Article 3 now. I know it doesn't feel like it, but we're actually pretty close to done. So in Article 3, there's only a few changes here to 3.3, 4, and 5, the last sentence, if you want to review those.
There is an error in 3.2 also.
Where?
It's the resolution number so-and-so of the Water Authority dated WWI 224 for 2014. What is that? There's no date in there. There's a WWE one.
There's no resolution number either.
right.
It looks like there was a resolution number WE1 that's mentioned at the top
In
of
the
that
wrong
paragraph.
place.
So I'll admit I'm ignorant as to how the resolutions are numbered. Are they numbered WE1?
Well, these are way back when. I'll have to go pull those up. They
It says
should
in-
not be.
It says in the original agreement, the water bonds were issued pursuant to resolution WE1 of the Water Enterprise dated June 16th, 2014. And the wastewater bonds were issued pursuant to resolution number of the
Blah.
wastewater, yeah.
Yeah.
Give no-
Yeah,
that's
there
the
is
date,
no
this is the
number on
date.
it.
I
Yeah.
need to go back and pull those up and see what those actual numbers
So is
are.
that-
I
Yeah, and
can't-
there's no exact date, it's just got a year.
Is that
Yes.
WWE, is that water wastewater enterprise?
Oh yeah,
wastewater.
maybe. Oh yeah. Wastewater Enterprise 1.
That's not a
But that's
date.
not a date.
No.
No, it's probably resolution number WWE1 sometime in 2014 that we're gonna have to figure out. Okay, so Kim, I'll give you a call sometime this week and we'll figure that out and add that
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
Okay,
Maybe force be refreshed.
That's good.
I'll see if I can just review the records you sent me first, Kim, so I don't have to bother you with this. I'll just see if I can figure that out.
Okay.
license plate numbers.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll fix 3.2, make sure that the resolution number and the proper date are reflected there. Which brings us to 3.3. You know, I'm fine with this language. It's a qualifier.
Even the red,
That last underlined sentence of 3.3.
yeah.
Yeah, are there any concerns with the addition of that?
I don't have any concerns. That's,
Yeah. I'm okay with that,
it's added to the next one.
yeah.
Just stay.
I don't like the one added to 3.5.
I don't, it don't make sense.
I
It's,
don't
you
either.
know, conflicts.
Yeah,
I mean, the first part of it saying through its staff.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
we need to do it, but then it says the town's not liable for
Right.
failure. Do so.
Take that last sentence out.
I just,
All right, let's delete that.
uh,
Yeah, the town is not liable for the failure of the authority. We'll delete that sentence.
okay.
That was one of the proposed additions from a couple years ago. Okay. Now, little bit of housekeeping here. It's Article 3, and then it was changed to Article 5. I mean, I'll just change that back to 4. I don't know if somebody was thinking of adding another article or what, but let's delete that. And so this is kind of this is a big one. Whether you call it Article 5 or 4, I'll change to 4, but it's default. So if, as you can see on my edits, I just nixed the entire thing and I added a completely new paragraph for the default because the way that it was written, it didn't make sense and it didn't provide any sort of clear mechanism.
So this is still 30 days until we go to 90, or is that even applicable here?
This is a 30-day cure default.
right.
Cause you were moving 1.4 over to here.
Yes, we were.
Yeah, and 1.4 did not cover a cure. 1.4 was upon written notice of termination and expiration of opportunity to cure, parties shall submit respective claims for mediation within 30 days after the failure to cure has expired. So it kind of governs after the cure period. And it talks about the mediation.
And you will add that as part of this default paragraph.
Yeah, I would just I would add that to this. Yeah, essentially it would be 4.2.
So then it's just housekeeping, renumbering.
That's what it was.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we're gonna go change that.
Well,
to
and
four
yeah,
or whatever.
You
Yes,
need,
yeah.
we need to change copy to you.
And Debbie is still on there too.
Where are you looking? At the very end.
Oh, I see. You just got it.
Well, that's why I was jumping ahead earlier, that's when you change names, because there's George Rowley at White Bear.
Yeah.
And
All
Debbie.
that.
All that's
All
gotta
that's
go.
gotta be changed.
Oh, you guys are all the way down there. Well, hold on. Before we jump too far down, is everybody okay with this default, with the language of the default that's within Article 4?
I guess so, everybody moved on.
Yeah.
Well, all right, yeah. All right, if it's not broken, I won't fix it.
4.2 point too. I was like, okay, that's a fact.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
we just
that's
moved on.
when he said 1.4 was moving to 4, okay, great.
Sorry.
So you're like, okay, the rest looks fine.
Yeah, so then that's all the changes, that's all the proposed changes we had. If anybody has any other thoughts, overall
Yeah, you
specific,
just-
whatever's on your mind.
You just have to change that stuff about White Bear and Debbie take all those off,
Yeah,
because those are,
yeah. Yeah,
Do
it's gonna
we-
change.
Do we need to list? Donnie on there instead of Debbie, or,
Yes.
Yeah, why don't we
It
just
would
say
be on there.
president?
there you go,
Yeah.
current president?
Yeah, instead of a name.
Yeah, that makes it way easier.
But under where the signatures are, can I ask that you put the person's name underneath those lines that's actually signing those lines?
And the title.
And their title,
yeah,
And
and a
everything.
date,
yeah.
Yeah,
instead of just a line.
because we don't know who's signing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Print. That's your on a date.
Wait, I'm sorry,
So-
so add a date to the signature lines, Kim, is that what I heard?
All
And
those
names.
signature lines,
The
can we
signature
have
blocks.
names, titles, and a date?
That's what you want to see.
Yeah.
Yes.
Also, could we add, I mean, I'm being real picky on this, but can we add page numbers to this document at the very
Yes.
bottom? Because we're hunting for numbers of
Yeah.
articles. It's just too much
Yes.
trouble.
Absolutely.
No, that's a great suggestion.
We know,
Yes.
we know, you got a complete document too when you have page numbers. And down to the bottom, it has to be the one page number at the bottom.
Yeah.
Then,
Is that what you're talking about?
Yes. All of
Yeah.
George Riley's,
Oh,
it's just lines, none of them, huh?
Oh, and then there was Eric Burton's.
We're gonna take all that out, but depending on who signs those and their handwriting, you may not understand. If there's somebody 20 years from now looking at these documents like we have,
Oh, yeah.
we may not know who that is.
Yeah.
We may not know who that is.
Some of the line, we have a tough time reading who it is.
Oh, it's crazy.
have a line.
Look
where
at
they
my
print-
signature, they
print,
would.
You know, printed name and then signature.
Yeah.
Yes, that you got.
All of Riley's
Rick
documents.
told me
do this.
before he left, I needed to learn how to sign my name.
Just because
I
Rick
have
writes like
nice
a little
neat-
girl doesn't mean.
He
anything.
has beautiful handwriting,
And
not
he-
me.
He has very,
Yes,
he has very swoopy girly handwriting.
No, I
Our,
just,
they're talking about our old mayor.
Our old mayor,
He
Oh,
wrote, he
is
has,
he has very beautiful
Yeah,
swoopy
that's-
handwriting.
yeah.
Very loopy.
so here's this whole,
You wouldn't be able to read any of mine.
Yeah.
no, you can't read mine.
You should have been a doctor.
Somebody told me that before. You should have been a doctor. I can't read your name.
Kim, are you going to be doing this spreadsheet for the facilities and,
yeah, I'll do that for you guys.
okay, you,
I'll do it by the next meeting.
okay, you have all the information, the determinations, the well numbers and stuff like that?
When I go to add it on there, I may need your help in figuring out how to add those on
Yeah.
there.
How
In
you
a
can
clear,
work it out.
concise manner, yeah.
And then, but also the wells need to be listed too.
Right.
Their numbers and what aquifer they're sitting in or whether they'll be able to.
You know, we'll figure out how to add that to a spreadsheet, but I may need your help in here to
Okay.
do that.
Thanks, Paul and Ruth, for all your work on this.
Yeah, thank you guys very much.
Hey, thanks for going through this with us. I know, it's a little taxing. I know we're all a little tired, but I think this is really productive today.
Yeah, it is.
Thank you.
What about the exhibits that are blank?
Well, at that page, that is the cover page to the exhibit, so the exhibit that belongs to that should be behind that.
There was what was it? Oh, there was something else. Wait a minute, I have
It's
it.
got blank exhibits.
Hold on,
Exhibit
Laurel just had a
D?
thought.
Exhibit
Yeah, I
D,
do too.
well, also that plat.
Letter, I see, I don't know what the letters of conditions are.
Okay, yeah, what is, that's what it
would
says,
be-
exhibit D isn't in the document, it says something else,
Yeah.
It was the establishing agreement.
yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
Exhibit D was the establishing agreement from what I saw.
Well, and there's packet of proposed revisions that says exhibit D is letters of condition.
Right, and then also exhibit B says a service area, and of course, that has to now be revised to take out the
Well-
117 acres that.
That's true. I'll have to look at that.
We'll get it all cleaned up.
Yeah, I thought
Yeah.
there was an map off the county's GIS in there, and I'm,
Well, this is the one that has it, but it's got the 117 acres in there still.
okay,
Yeah.
let me get on there now and see what
It
it
needs
looks
to be
like.
taken out the Mayfields and then the Digby stuff.
And so the county assessor's office has that now.
So let me see if they've revised that online. If they haven't, then I'll get a hold of their GIS guy and getting to fix that so we can get a clear map.
That one
Like that. Yes. Yeah, it still shows all the Digby stuff on it, but that needs to be
Wait to see if the
revised.
county's gonna annex their building before we redraw them.
Yeah.
That's a thought.
The reason I asked him is I was looking at the exhibits and there's nothing behind it. That's why I was asking.
Yeah, there wasn't any, because,
On the revised packet.
yeah, nobody, well, in the original agreement, I don't think there's anything behind letters of condition either.
No, there isn't. I didn't see anything.
But there's a lot of. No, right.
So did you say the establishing agreement is one of them?
I saw a version of the agreement where the establishing agreement was exhibit D.
Exhibit D.
Because there's two
Yeah.
amendments, to the establishing agreement.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I don't think the amendments were actually included within that. So they should be.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll send everybody copies of those. One sec, it's just diaper.
Yeah,
I've got it, because Kim gave original.
Well,
Yeah. That's what I.
you have a copy?
Well, I got.
Oh, you got those two? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got it.
Area.
I'm an electronic guy.
That's the original.
Oh, okay, I'm not, okay, I love my paper.
Oh, so that's the establishing agreement?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a totally different agreement, and that would have fallen, well, it does say. Exhibit C, ORC scope of work, we don't need that in there, we don't care. The
Yeah.
town does not care about the ORC scope of work, the water authority cares,
Right.
but the town does not, so that exhibit can come out.
Exhibit C.
Where is that at? What
Exhibit C,
in the agreement though?
It's the very, very end.
exhibit C, ORC scope of work,
I
at the very back.
understand that, but does it?
I don't know, I'd have
reference
to
the
read through
agreement?
the entire thing to figure out where,
Yeah,
In the original.
but it's probably noted in there.
but yeah, usually, yeah.
Mention of the ORC and hiring the ORC, which again has nothing to do with the town.
Yeah, why do we care about that?
Here it is, it's paragraph 2.8. Talking about ORC, and it says, the ORC's responsibilities are outlined in exhibit C, so we need to take that out of that paragraph, 2.8.
2.8.
Yeah. And that, November 14.
2.8, Paul needs to come out completely.
Oh, that whole thing comes out?
Yeah, we don't. The authority, you're contracting with the system operator, the ORC, and it has nothing to do with the town.
Oh, okay.
With the staffing paragraph?
2.8, system operator.
Oh, okay, it's the new 2.9, it's the old 2.8, so I'm a little, all right, so that whole thing is out.
Yeah, system operator,
You know, we made some amendments.
Did that fall out of the?
actually, we made amendments to it, but we should have really just taken that out because the system operator under the operating agreement, it doesn't matter who the authority contracts with, that's the authority's business.
Right,
It's
so that
nothing
should
to
be
do with the
deleted,
operating
right?
agreement, yeah.
Yeah,
2.8.
took that out.
No, we made revisions to it, we didn't.
We
Yeah.
did revisions our time.
Well,
Yeah.
okay, that's
So
all right.
it doesn't have anything to do with that.
2.8.
We got
System
down to-
operator paragraph.
Yeah,
Yeah, or, well,
so then the
2.8.
corresponding
2.9
exhibit C
now.
will come out.
Oh.
Gotcha.
Okay, so we should just take that one. out.
And for whatever reason, White Bear put the established an agreement after letters of condition, that's not a letter of condition.
Well, 2.8 says staffing, the town will provide staff required to fulfill its obligations under its agreement. The new one, this.
New two,
Yeah,
the new 2.8.
Yeah.
The very next page. Which would
You
make
know,
the payment for operation of system the new 2.8.
yes, that would be the new 2.8.
What's wrong, Donnie?
I don't think we should take that out, that system operator, and the reason being is to protect the town more than the authority. That the town, because they do have, I mean, it affects everything they do, that they make sure the authority is hiring a qualified operator for their systems.
Okay.
So I think that's more of a paragraph for the town than it is the water authority. The water authority is gonna hire it. I mean, you hope, or, you know, what if we say, oh, we can't afford it, Brett can go down there and check it out. You know what I'm saying? I think it protects the town and the entity more than it protects, you know, the authority.
More
Well, since you put it that way.
Personally.
It's more of like a
So it
paragraph.
doesn't, Where else in the agreement that it has to be a license?
No.
Well, you're probably right there.
No,
Okay, so leave that one in.
Leave it in,
With the amendments that we did.
with the changes
Yeah.
that we made, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's my opinion.
Probably true. If we don't,
What do you think, Paul?
make sure we have a qualified.
You
person,
copy
so
that?
that's not doing it.
Yeah. I'm just kind of digesting it a little bit.
I mean,
But
what if
yeah,
you get
okay.
the authority that says, oh, I'm gonna go do it, it's gonna save us 40,000 a year or whatever we pay them.
Well,
And I'm gonna go check on it and say, oh, it's great,
Yeah.
it's running downhill, everything's good, you know?
Yeah.
And payday's Friday.
well, Donnie, to be honest with you, we had, the manager of the mobile home park doing repairs
Yeah.
to the infrastructure, and I removed that from them. I told them they can't do that unless they're a licensed operator. They're not allowed to put their hands on the authority's, infrastructure anymore.
I think it's good.
Okay, so we'll leave it in with the changes. Change being that the authority shall review the contract annually and renew it in accordance with the provisions set forth herein for the budget. That was the second sentence that was changed.
Yes.
Do we need to leave
Change
the
the
scope of work as an exhibit then?
I mean, we can, it comes directly out of your contract with the ORC.
Right, I mean, might as well keep it as that first, yeah.
You leave it, they said leave it, Paul.
Okay, all right, so we'll leave that one in there. Does anybody have any other comments, thoughts, suggestions?
Laurel, you got a lot of sticky notes
I
over there.
know. I was just looking at, we were talking about exhibit D, which is that letters of conditions, which doesn't make any sense. It refers back to, Article 3, number 3.1 about the water revenue bonds. Those were supposed to be the attachments to that.
Hmm.
So. Do you want
Under
to look at that?
LOC?
That makes more sense.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Cause it's in the November 14th, 2023 amendment.
Under what section?
It's under Article 3, obligations as treasurer, paying agent and registrar, 3.1. And if you read that paragraph, then it says an exhibit attached to an exhibit D. That's those
It does.
letters
Letters
of
of
condition, what they
conditions.
were calling them,
Yeah.
issued by the United States Department of Agriculture, and amendments thereto dated September 18th and October 24th, 2013, collectively as LOCs, copies which are attached. So.
Yep.
That's what, nothing was attached, so that's what was supposed to be
So
there.
they need to be.
Yeah, so they need to be
That's
attached.
supposed
You
to
have
be-
those, Donna?
I don't know, I'll let you know.
Okay.
Are you done, Donnie?
Are there copies of this original bonds?
Sure
Kim?
there are.
Yeah, I have a copy of it. I think.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I have those bonds.
Copies of them, yeah.
Somewhere.
I'll look tomorrow. I'll sell that.
Well, Kim, I gave
This
you
is the-
copies of all
what they
those
were
deeds,
about.
remember?
Right.
So when you're doing your spreadsheet, you know, if you need some more help.
Yeah, I see why they're
Retaining that.
listed the way they are in here because it lists as facilities, but
Yeah.
if you want it listed as assets rather than just facilities, then we make a spreadsheet listing all of them.
Should we change that?
Because right now it's
wording in the
listed
doc?
as just the facilities, and that's what's insured as the facilities.
Okay,
Insurance does not insure land
right,
or
but,
water rights, just facilities.
but in this agreement, we were talking about the land, the water rights, the land, real estate. blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
Should those be called assets rather than, facilities on that spreadsheet that's attached exhibit A?
Well, I think it does say,
Or-
that it does say more than just facilities, yeah.
yeah, I don't,
It does.
yeah, and I think what she's saying is change the wording in the agreement, because in the agreement, it's making reference to just facilities,
Facilities.
not
And we need to
assets.
say water, all the assets that are supposed to be in KWWA's name.
Yeah, and I think that's what she's proposing, is
Yeah.
change it to assets.
Because
rather-
that's, to me, that's very, very confusing. You think of physical like a water tank and this and that, when you're not listening, you're not talking about the well and the water rights,
Yeah.
which are extremely important. Very important.
And valuable.
Well,
What
there-
section is this in?
Asset, not a facility.
Yeah,
Laurel,
exactly.
what section was,
Article 2, ownership and operation of water and wastewater, it talks about facilities.
and has a corresponding exhibit for facilities. What they're proposing is change it to assets. And then do a complete accounting of what those assets are. Not just facilities, they're just talking about the water rights, the land,
The wells.
the wells.
Okay, is there an exhibit reference here that I'm just not seeing? Is there a specific section that you're looking at right now?
They did reference it, I'm trying to.
Just a
find
minute,
it.
it's in the on the first page on the recitals. It's the second paragraph, it's, the authority
Oh,
acquired.
oh, that's what you were talking about. Okay.
Okay,
Gotcha.
yeah, because it's talking about the water rights, real and personal property, easements, physical plant improvements, everything.
But
Okay,
the only,
that's what I thought you were talking about at first, and I got thrown off. But okay, so all right, so Exhibit A will incorporate, oh yeah, all
Asset.
district assets. Okay, yeah. And I think we actually agreed to that at the beginning of this meeting. That yeah, we're gonna update that, reflect all the assets district has. Did you want to change the wording of it though?
just to assets, because right now the exhibit just says facilities, but the
Yeah.
paragraph refers to all the
Ah,
assets.
I see. Okay, gotcha. So change facilities in that first line to assets. Okay.
And then we would add in all the deeds of the property, the water rights determinations.
Mhm.
They're talking about easements, everything.
Yeah.
I'm not
Makes
aware of
sense.
any assets. That throws me off.
Well, and I don't think an easement would necessarily be, well, it could be an asset.
What about that well over there at the fire station? Is that an easement situation?
No, it's property.
It's a
It is
whole property.
right? Oh, okay.
It's a whole property.
Oh.
You have an active lease with them for the entire property.
Till 2035.
Yeah, they're leasing it.
That's why we really need to get that deed.
That isn't where the fire station is.
Yes,
It's
it
where-
is.
where the
That
fire
property goes
station
all the way to
is.
the door,
Oh, my gosh.
to the door going in the facility.
Yeah.
There's a missing deed, an easement deed that you're concerned about?
No, I need to get all those quitclaim deeds transferred from the town over to the water authority, because even all these years later, they should have been done back when the split was made, and none of that property, as was directed in those receivership documents, were transferred over appropriately. So I'm in the process of getting quitclaim deeds,
We're fixing.
drawn up, so that
Okay.
all of those properties are appropriately transferred over to the water authority.
Gotcha.
They're
Okay.
all still in town's names.
That's where the original water tower was.
Understood.
Right by the fire station, that's something we need to look at. I know, yeah, with that fire.
Nostalgic.
Yeah.
Then I see that great big monster out there.
Yeah, because we decided to rehab that well.
Oh,
We
yeah.
need to put a building on there, who knows what.
Anything else, you guys?
So we're gonna get revised from Paul on what we
That's right.
talked. Yeah, and then we can rehash again.
I'll send you a clean copy. Well, I'll send you a track changes and a clean copy of from everything we've discussed today. So yeah, be on the lookout for that. I can get that to you in pretty short order. When's the next regular meeting?
11th.
11th.
Yeah, 2 weeks from
Okay.
today. Yeah,
All right.
two
All right, I'll give
Tuesdays.
you all more than enough time to look at this.
Thank you.
Laura, I have a cute story about sticky notes.
Okay,
Okay, after the meeting.
after the meeting.
Oh, I thought
No,
No,
we're
we
not
never
done.
officially started the meeting.
We will, yeah, so let me ask you that too, because you threw everybody in this room completely off.
Yes,
So in the past, for the town, it's actually needs, under our charter, even though it's a work session, it needs to be titled special meeting. And with that said, it has to go by the same meeting requirements as far as, opening the meeting, taking roll. Laurel requested to maintain the Pledge of Allegiance at the beginning of these meetings. Is that not something you're used to doing, Paul, for an informal work session?
Oh no, I apologize. I'm not used to that at all. I just threw everybody off at the beginning there. I just jumped right into it. No, I apologize for that. I didn't mean to cause any sort of consternation, anything like that. Everybody does it a little differently. A lot of the work sessions I've been involved in are typically very, very informal. So
Okay.
sorry if I ruffled any feathers there, everyone. That was not the intent.
We were fine moving on, you know, it just caught us very off guard.
Yes.
Like, and
okay.
you were so into it and going with it, we're like, just let him run.
And I went,
Well, if you need
Yep,
it, you
okay.
can convene.
I
at
did
6.
attendance, yep,
Oh.
yep.
All right.
Here.
So, Harry, are you looking for a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
So moved.
You didn't start.
I know.
I know, that's what
I
Any
marked it down.
discussion?
I actually marked it down.
Do what?
I marked it down. We started at 6:05.
Uh-uh,
So
it
we're
was
adjourning
6:02.
at 8.
All in favor? Opposed? Okay, we're done. Now, my
Oh, what?
story about
No.